Hey everybody, what's up? Chad Wesley Smith here, bringing you our next installment in our Week in Review series as some of my athletes prepare for USAPL Raw Nationals. So today we're going to be looking at the training of Marisa Inda, Kristen Dunsmore, Ann Aita, and Maddy Forberg. They're all at a little bit different places in their training. So in this Week in Review series, I explain what they're doing, why they're doing it, some of our strategy behind their program design, analyze the technique a little bit, and just give you some kind of behind the scenes info and what they're doing, why they're doing it as they prepare for this big meet, USAPL Raw Nationals. Now I think we're about 8 weeks out, so excited for their progress. All right, so as we start the week off on Monday, this is Marisa's lighter squat day of the week. She's continuing with the tempo work. This is being done to help her just feel more comfortable as she tries to make some technical adjustments, widening out her notoriously narrow stance. This is something actually as a technical change we had planned to try and do last year before Nationals, but as she dealt with some sciatic issues from coming off Worlds, it just wasn't the right time to try and make a technical change on top of that. So she hates doing those. She hates me for prescribing them to her, but she's a hard worker, so she gets them done anyways. Next up is going to be Miss Maddy Forberg, and Mondays are Maddy's heavier squat day. So Marisa and Kristen, Joanne, they're on more of an alternating plan, alternating weeks between heavy squat and bench one week and heavy deadlift on the other week, where Maddy, as she's less experienced, is on a more linear plan, so she squats heavy basically every Monday. So this is the first week of her 3-week strength block, 117.5 kilos, and we're just looking to increase that over the next couple of weeks for her. And for Kristen, like Marisa, this is her lighter squat day of the week. Nothing special in terms of tempo or anything here, just practicing technique. Kristen is very, very strong squatter, 182.5 kilo PR, so we're looking to maybe take a shot at the American record in the 72 kilo class coming up at Nationals. Moving on to Tuesday, this is a heavier bench day for Marisa, so we're just going to singles kind of every other week for her just to stay in touch with these heavy weights. Very strong lift there at 95 kilos, which was the plan for the day. Decided to get aggressive and take a shot at 100 after that, which she wasn't quite ready for yet, heaviest weight she'd ever attempted. But I'm confident that she'll be ready for that at Nationals. This 77.5 for 5 for Maddy, this actually equals her opener from her last meet, so huge progress in the bench for her. Kristen just came off of a meet and actually felt that we had some degradation of her bench technique going into that meet, which I think was attributed to too much competition-style bench pressing and running into some issues of adaptive resistance there. So we're sort of trying to create a neural reset in these first couple weeks of this training cycle by doing no competition bench pressing. So she's just doing all variations, allowing her to sort of resensitize to technique, so doing some board presses there. Moving on to Wednesday's training. Wednesdays are our primary deadlift day most frequently. So this is her lighter week in the deadlift, and she's doing her most hated exercise, block pulls. Very typical for conventional deadlifters to struggle off of blocks compared to off the floor because it lacks a bit of leg drive, but she's gotten stronger here. It's going to help overload the back directly and strengthen the lockout. Then she's going to follow that up with one of our favorite deadlift assistance movements, the box deadlift or the vert pull. This was first shown to me by Boris Sheko and Mikhail Kuklayev at a seminar here in California. At their heart, they're really just an RDL, but the box behind the calves forces you into more strict technique, and I found to be a much more useful exercise. And here you can see Marisa's belt squat setup. She trains some at her home gym, some at my home gym, and some in the commercial gym. So if you're needing a way to set up the belt squat in a commercial gym, this is a way to do it. Maybe it pulls you forward a little bit more than is ideal, but still a good way to get it done. So these are actually Maddy's back down sets. In the deadlift, prior to this, she did 132.5 kilos for a triple, which actually was her previous 1 rep max in the conventional deadlift. So just getting technique work in, really focusing on her starting position and bringing her hips early to the bar. This is Kristen's lighter week in the deadlift, and even though it's not light in the weights, the block pull for the sumo deadlifters, they're almost always better, so it's just a bit of a reduction in intensity through exercise selection, even though it's actually equal in intensity, in absolute intensity, to what she did last week. So this is the first you've seen of Joanne this week. She's dealing with a little bit of health issues, so this turned into kind of a deload week for her, just kind of getting done what she can by feel. So this is sort of a combination of her typical Monday and Wednesday training session. Joanne will pull sumo in competition, but we like to alternate with her between sumo and conventional to make sure that her hips stay healthy. Here she is working her eccentric squats. The eccentric squat for Joanne was really a breakthrough going into Worlds, allowing her to sort of overcome that very rebound heavy style squatting that she has because of weightlifting, allowing her to feel a more consistent bottom position that isn't too deep, but just squatting right to legal depth. She's starting these a bit more at the hip than I'd like, with this really kind of pronounced sit back at the hip and tip forward at the chest. That's something we're focusing on, but just happy to have her get some good work in. The next exercise she's going to be doing, the dead squat, is just a low pin squat, and that's also used to help her develop the ability to grind and grind with a weight out of the hole, because she had done so much very heavy rebound style squatting. That was something that she wasn't as good at as she could have been, and now she's just more consistent there. Here's a typical Thursday type of training session for the women who are benching 3 times a week. So they're benching on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, with Tuesday being the primary day, Saturday the secondary day, and here Thursday the tertiary day, which is basically always dedicated to variations of the bench press, lower absolute intensities, which is often controlled by the variation being done, with Maddy doing the feet up and Chris doing the incline. They just can't go as heavy there. This is actually would have been Joanne's normal Tuesday bench press, but like I said, we're having to work around the schedule, some schedule changes a bit. So she's just getting volume in. She's benching a little bit higher reps per set than Marisa or Kristen is at this point in the training, even though they're on like the same length training cycle, just because she's not as muscular as they are in the upper body. So the higher volume is going to help her build a little bit muscle and the work capacity. Heavy squat day here for Marisa, going to singles. I wasn't able to be there on that day for her, which is a bit of a mental block for her without a spotter. And she probably made too big of a jump from 286 up to 314, but got that done. Here's a pretty heavy set for Kristen, 160 kilos for a triple. This is actually in 2 weeks from now. We'll look to beat this with a heavier triple. So this is sort of her day to sort of just get in touch with the heavy weights, feel a hard triple, but not looking to max out. For Maddy, her Friday is her lighter squatting day of the week, so she's going to start off with some pause squats, which inherently controls intensity through the variation being used. Because she squats with such a fast descent and gets good rebound, I don't want her to become overly reliant on the rebound, so having her use the pauses here and doing those low bar in the competition stance. And then another way to control intensity is through variation, is by doing some high bar squats. So she's just following up those low bar squats with a little bit more quad dominant high bar squatting. She's got a really good build for squatting, so excited to see how high she can push her weights. Then you can see Joanne just going through just another typical squat day. Nothing special from tempo or anything, just working technique. You can see she made some good adjustments here, that it's not as noticeable of a break at the hip and lead down with the chest. She's doing a much better job during this session of breaking at the knees and hips together, keeping the weight over the midfoot. Joanne has a very, very strong back, so I do want her leaning over so she's able to utilize her back strength, and she does a very good job of that here. Next exercise up for Joanne is going to be some sumo block pulls. And as I mentioned, she pulls sumo in competition, but we tend to alternate for her weekly between sumo and conventional off the floor as her primary day, and then just help her stay in touch with sumo technique with this secondary day of block pulls. And the block pulls aren't as challenging from a positional standpoint. They don't force her hips into quite as tough of a position. So it's a good way to stay in touch with technique without stressing the hips too much. And then finally, you can see a typical Saturday kind of bench session, which again for Kristen, Maddy, and Joanne, who bench 3 times a week, this is a day dedicated almost entirely to variations. It's their second heaviest bench day, so Joe's going with the feet up bench. We also do a lot of feet up benching with Joanne to help mitigate those hip issues that I'd mentioned. So she's just pumping out the reps with the feet up. As much as female benchers get a bad rap for just the big arches and stuff, if you do feel like you're becoming, or athletes you coach becoming very reliant on the position and the arch, the feet up is a great variation to eliminate the arch and force them to make it a more muscular effort and less leverage based positional effort to bench big weights. Same type of stuff for Kristen, feet up bench pressing. It's also a great way to build strength right off the chest, because the arch is eliminated, it becomes a very pec dominant movement. So if you're struggling off the chest, watch our addressing weak points in the bench press off the chest video, and you'll see that feet up bench pressing is one of our favorite options there. And here you can see Marisa just doing a little bit of her accessory work. You got to get creative sometimes in the home gym situation. So the single arm pull down, I know she really likes this one, and thinks that she can just kind of feel her lats work better in this compared to like a 2-arm pull down, and it's an easy setup if you don't have a lat pull down machine and you're training at home or in a CrossFit gym. All right, that was our Week in Review series. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in online coaching for powerlifting, weightlifting, strongman, super total, or power building, check out juggernautcoaching.com. Link is down in the video info. And keep following along with the Week in Review series. Cheer on these ladies as they get ready for USAPL Raw Nationals. Thanks for watching.